Going to Morehouse College taught me how much classism is keeping a lot of black adults single.
Wait a minute. He went to what college? Morehouse. Spelman, More. Oh, he went to school in the South. Went to an HBCU. Okay, let's continue.
And it is. Classism is keeping a lot of us single. And I don't hear us talk about that enough. We're having these conversations on these apps about the high rates of singleness amongst us super educated and us super successful black adults. We need to introduce into the conversation the role that classism plays in keeping us single. Because the truth is, a lot of these super educated, super successful black adults are single not because they've never met someone who makes them feel safe. They're single not because they've never met someone they find to be substantive. They're single not because they haven't met someone that makes them feel special. A lot of these super educated, super successful black adults are single because they haven't met someone who meets their family's ideals of suitable. And that's something we need to talk about when we're having these think pieces about the high rates of singleness amongst super educated, super successful black adults. It's not that they haven't met someone that makes them feel safe. It's not that they haven't met someone that makes them feel special. They haven't met someone who matches their family's ideals of suitable. And this post is not an attack on standards. Have your standards. I have my standards. But when we're having conversations about singleness, let's be honest about how our standards are keeping us single.
I'll be honest with you. I disagree. Men, men historically, we always marry down. We don't marry up. It's not a classism thing. A woman's class will change with her man. So it's not like men are just having a hard time meeting women within their class because they're super educated, or what does that even mean? What is super educated? That means you were able to sit still in a classroom for an extended period of time and were able to, get a degree from some of these schools. Degrees, mind you, that you can't apply anywhere. When I see a man who looks like him, now I went through his profile. He's a pastor also in a city that is 70% men gay. And then he went from Atlanta to Washington, D.C., the other black gay mecca of the country. I'll tell you what the issue is. It's not classism, it's sexuality. Women do not want to date liberal men. Now, this dude was an extreme Kamala supporter. For a black man to be a Democrat Kamala supporter, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't get any gayer than that. Women might pretend that they like gay liberal men, but they don't because, well, you see these men coming out here making these videos about how single they are and how lonely they are. Women like men. Women do not like soft, liberal, understanding, very sweet guys. They literally cheat on those guys with real men. His issue is, I'll be honest with you, just from watching his page, and there's nothing really masculine about this guy. Now, I'm not saying he's gay per se. It's just that men that are in his situation, they have a hard time because women see them as being on the fence. And I know this because women talk to me. I sit there and I have drunk, long conversations with, 5, 6 women at a time. And they talk to me about relationships and men. And I've recorded a lot of them. But now I'm kind of just going back through my notes and I'm noticing that a lot of this has to do with sexuality. When he's talking about your family standards, maybe his family wouldn't be accepting of him being gay. And you can't bring home a boyfriend or a trans and pass it off around your family. And he's relating that as, well, they're a different, they think they're better than him. And it's classism. It's not. The gay lifestyle is not, it's not black people friendly. Black people, regardless of them voting Democrat, they really don't like gays and they really don't like trans. And they especially don't like gay kids, trans kids. They don't. But culturally, black people are more conservative than any Republican on earth. That's just the way it goes in the black community. Extremely conservative. So we call them dinos, where they're just Democrats in name only, but they live Republican conservative. I had a girl that I used to date years ago, And she's in Oakland now. And she was like, "Oh my God, Rico, I seen you on the internet, and you're a MAGA Trump supporter." I said, yeah, so are you. I was like, "You're the most conservative woman I know." She was like, "No, I'm a progressive." I said, "Well, would you allow your son to have a gender reassignment surgery? Maybe as at 10 years old, 11 years old, if he came home and said, 'Mommy, I want to be a girl?'" She said, "Hell no, I would never do that." And I was like, "Well, then you're not really progressive. You're a conservative." It doesn't take much for them to kick you out of the cult. You say one thing against their ideology or their agenda, you're out the cult. You say, "Well, maybe I can't say love is love because of a 50-year-old man and a 10-year-old kid. Maybe love isn't love. Maybe there are some restrictions." Then now you're a right wing extremist, Trump supporting, super ultra MAGA person. That's literally all it takes for you to be put on the other side. So again, when you meet a man and he's a liberal and he's a Democrat and he wanted a woman to rule him, yeah, a woman might think it's cute, but she's going to be like, "This guy is very feminine. He's very gay. And I want a man that's going to be able to fight for me. But also, I want a man that I'm afraid of. I want a man that could dominate me. I want a man that's a man. I don't want a man that's my bestie. I don't want a man that's my girlfriend. I want a man that's a man." Women are looking for more traditional men. The problem is there's so few of us that we end up having way too many women. So that'll keep us from getting married because how do we choose which one we're going to take? And then we end up in all these poly situations where you have a ton of girlfriends, and then you just end up just saying, I'm just friends with everybody because there's just so many women, and this is what all the men are nowadays. This guy, soft, liberal, a pastor. These are all the hallmarks of a homosexual man, except the anal part. Maybe he's not doing that yet, but he's on the fence. But he went to a gay college and he lives in a gay city. He probably dabbled. Women have like this thing where they can tell that a man used to have sex with other men. There's just something about him. After she's with him for a little while, even if he's good looking, she'll be like, "You know what? My ex-boyfriend was gay." I've had a lot of girls say that to me, and I'm like, "Jesus Christ, why were you with a gay guy?" And she's like, "I didn't know at first, but there were just things, and now hindsight is 2020." And I'm not saying women aren't wrong when they accuse men of being gay, but this is what's out there. People think I'm an extremist because of how I am. That's how crazy it is. I'm normal. 20 years ago, I'm just a regular, typical guy. All this other stuff is new. I don't have a problem with finding a girlfriend. I could get married tomorrow. I could get married tonight if I wanted to anybody in my phone. That's not my issue. My issue is I have too many options. A man like him, when you meet a man that no women want, if you meet a man that you don't got to fight another woman over, there's a reason. There's a reason there's a reason that no woman that's ever had sex with a man is not calling his phone drunk on Friday and Saturday night. If you got a boyfriend or you got a husband and his exes are not calling him late night and you got to answer the phone and say, "Stop calling," there's a good reason for that. You got to understand there's something about him where she's like, "You know what? I don't even want him anymore." And women understand that. That's why women like men who are already involved. I was talking to a friend of mine who I broke up with a few years ago, and she's like really going through a little desperate phase where she's looking for a relationship. But every man she meets is like this guy, where they're pretty much on the fence, gay, or they used to be gay. Now they're coming back and they have a million excuses for why they're single. But they don't want to talk about maybe it's your inherent sexuality. Just because you used to be gay, that means you're still gay. You can't be bi as a man. A woman can go and experiment. A man cannot. Soon as that dick touch your lips, buddy, soon as your dick touch his lips, buddy, you're in a completely different program. Doesn't matter how long ago it was. Just a little bit of just a little dick, dick, you're gay. That's it. It's over. So in women, they can sense that there's been some dick in or around his mouth at one time. Even if it was 15, 20 years ago, women know. And then just subconsciously, she just becomes like, ugh, the ick because of the dick. And they move on. You know, so yeah, you might think being toxic is masculine, but that's what a man is. That's what we traditionally should be. And remember, relationships are what is traditional. Marriage, it doesn't get more traditional than that. So don't act like you reject being traditional when you're begging for somebody to do traditional things with you, like be in a relationship with you or be married to you. You got to keep that in perspective. But yeah, it's not classism, buddy. It's your sexuality. That's the issue.
Like the truth is, classism is keeping a lot of us cold at night, and classism is keeping a lot of us from considering people we actually might be compatible with.
Yeah, nah, buddy, you're gay. Gay. Like and subscribe, share the video. I'll be back on live in a few more minutes. Thank you very much.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.